The main reason I watch so much anime is that I love animation and its boundless potential for storytelling, and for most of the medium's history, Japan has been the only country that's really interested in exploring that. But in the last decade, with shows like Adventure Time and Avatar: The Last Airbender, America has started to catch up in a big way. That's especially true in the realm of opening theme songs, where anime has reigned supreme for years. Most American cartoons are still a little light on details, and most don't feature catchy pop numbers, but some are flat out incredible regardless, and out of those, for my money, Gravity Falls reigns supreme. Hidden details tend to mean spoilers, by the way, so consider yourselves warned. We open on time-lapse shots of the town's outskirts, first the falls for which it was named, then a Paul Bunyan-looking statue near a gas station, and finally a water tower emblazoned with the town's name. These establishing shots are implied to be what the twins see as they enter town, but they also bear striking resemblance to the gloriously mellow intro to Twin Peaks. Considering how much Gravity Falls draws from David Lynch's surreal opus, I think it's safe to say that's an intentional illusion. The kids arrive on a Speedy Beaver bus, and immediately we can tell a lot about them from their luggage and attire. Mabel's childish nature is clear as day, with an adorable plushie poking out of a hastily packed, sticker-adorned suitcase. Her bigger bag is covered in purple polka dots, and her pink sun visor is better suited for a day at the golf course than a trek through the woods. By contrast, Dipper is clearly taking everything a bit too seriously. His steamer suitcase looks like it belongs to a well-traveled old man, and his plain duffel bag, decorated only with a label telling us that they're from Piedmont, California, looks practically military issue. On top of that, his backpack looks ready for a camping trip, with a sleeping bag rolled on top and who knows what kind of survival supplies stashed inside. It's also worth noting that he arrives wearing a plain brown hat that he loses in the first episode, a solid nod to the series' continuity. From Stan's explosive entrance, we know that he's a showman, and the shabby state of the shack, not to mention his suit, tells us more or less immediately that he's also a charlatan. Inside the shack, that's confirmed as we see a bunch of chintzy, obviously fake junk, all with price tags, and that's a severed human ear in a bottle. There's not much detail in the shot itself, just iconic pieces of supernatural chicanery like the classic pie tin flying saucer and the ubiquitous stuffed jackalope, but hot dang is this facial animation ever impressive, especially the distortion of Dipper's face through the poison bottle. And again, Mabel's adorable smile here, in contrast with Dipper's more serious frown, is very telling about the differences between the twins. This shot of the Pines family investigating a Bigfoot footprint while unknowingly standing within the steps of a giant is funny, but it's also a clever metaphor for the structure of the show. In each episode, the twins solve a mystery and feel like they have a handle on things, but they're caught up in something much bigger than they can even perceive. Another beautiful time-lapse shot follows, showing us the briefest glimpse of Bigfoot in a single frame. The pose he takes is identical to the alleged Bigfoot in the Patterson-Gimlin film. Even in the intro, viewers have to be eagle-eyed to catch everything. This brings us to the Mystery Shack weather vane, which poses a simple, direct question to the audience. Dipper is shown investigating some sort of cave with Norse runes carved into the walls. In a rare exception for this OP, the runes don't appear to have any specific meaning in themselves. He turns around to find himself staring at the skeletal remains of some hideous monster, later revealed to be 8-Ball, and promptly drops his candle in another spectacular piece of character animation. And speaking of great animation, just look at how smooth this shot of Mabel snuggling Waddles is. Seriously, not only is this timed perfectly with the music, it's just fundamentally great animation, showcasing all 12 of the principles outlined by Ollie Johnston and Frank Thomas in The Illusion of Life. Intros are usually the best looking parts of shows, but they clearly went all out for this one. Not only is Mabel's sweater here a serious fire hazard, it also tells us quite a bit about her personality. She turns like she's standing on a stage, clearly hungry for attention from the way her eyes dart around the room. Cut to Grunkle Stan running with a stolen cash register and then lounging in his recliner with his fake Mr. Mystery eye patch. The constant across all these character shots is that we see their best traits juxtaposed with their worst. Dipper's curiosity leads naturally to a moment of cowardice, Mabel shows off her warm heart and her huge ego, Stan is a liar and a thief, but he also has an abundance of confidence and roguish charisma. We're then treated to our first group shot of the main cast. Stan tells them a spooky story, and right at the climax we see some sort of bat monster lurking in the shadows behind them. There's actually a ton of information about the characters' relationships packed in here, so let's explore that a bit. The biggest thing we can pick up on here is how all the characters relate to Stan, judging by how they react to his story. Stan himself is clearly more than a little giddy at the prospect of scaring them and presents his story with panache. Mabel is briefly shocked, but then reverts to her default mode of childlike delight. Dipper takes it a bit more seriously, but not nearly as much as Seuss, who's hanging on his boss's every word, and indeed in the show, Seuss has a bit of a hero worship thing going on with Stan. On the other end of the spectrum, Wendy is totally nonplussed, rolling her eyes before giving Stan a skeptical side-eyed glance. Speaking of Wendy, for a moment Dipper nervously glances glances her way to see what her reaction is while she doesn't pay him much attention at all. You're immediately primed for Dipper's one-sided crush by this one brief but efficient bit of animation. Interestingly, this next shot also shows Wendy. In fact, a lot of the cuts in this intro follow whatever has Dipper's attention in the previous scene. This would be a pretty standard shot of a bored teenage part-timer, with the hazy focus emphasizing her own lack of attention, but the jar of eyeballs in the foreground gives it a certain creepy edge, which is only enhanced as they swivel to face us. This could possibly be hinting that Bill's cipher is watching. Eyes are also featured prominently on the page of the journal that Dipper is reading. There are a lot of weird symbols on this page that could be some kind of code, but if they are, so far nobody has cracked it. Gravity goes haywire as the twins sit reading in their room, making everything float up toward the ceiling. This show sure does like magic 8 balls, by the way. It takes Dipper a few seconds to notice what's going on, while Mabel doesn't even look up from her book. As it turns out, this is the direct reference to the effects of Stan's portal in the pivotal episode Not What He Seems. The last shot of the intro is a pile of Polaroid photos showing various things from the show mixed in with more iconic supernatural hoaxes such as the Fiji mermaid and the Weekly World News Batboy, along with more jackalopes and flying saucers. Also shown in the photos are the Summerween trickster, Blendin Blandin, Gideon Gleeful, a pterodactyl, and a gnome which apparently bit the photo right after it printed. After Not What He Seems, the pterodactyl is replaced with Stanford holding the journal. At the top of the screen behind the jackalopes, we see a partial caricature of series creator Alex Hirsch with his trademark scraggly goatee. This is followed by a group photo of the Mystery Shack crew, then a stylized title card designed to look like a Gravity Falls postcard. On the top right corner is a Billy Meyer UFO, and on the left is an old postage stamp with the faded number 618 over top of it. This number, used frequently throughout the show, is a reference to June 18th, the birthday of Alex Hirsch and his own twin sister Ariel. As we pan out from the card, a mysterious whisper is mixed in with the music. When played backwards, it reveals the method for decoding the cryptogram that shows up at the ending credits of the episode. In the first, the whisper says 3 letters back, but in episode 7 it's changed to switch A with Z, and at episode 14 it changes again to 26 letters. Throughout season 2 it says key visionnaire, referencing the visionnaire cipher, which requires a keyword hidden in the episode to decrypt. This only changes for Not What He Seems and A Tale of Two Stans, where instead it says, appropriately, lastly, for a single frame, we're shown a page of the journal that's absolutely loaded with information. The page is covered in mathematical codes and alchemical symbols, including a cipher that translates to Stan is not what he seems, but the centerpiece is a code wheel surrounding series villain Bill Cipher. The image implies that the elements in the code wheel can be used to either empower or contain Bill, but what do they represent? That is a hotly contested subject. A lot of the images are pretty obvious, especially since the big reveal in Not What He Seems, but 2 are pretty nebulous. The pine tree and shooting star are taken straight from Dipper and Mabel's clothing, and this claw thing is taken from Stan's hat. The stitched heart and question mark come from Robbie and Sousa's shirts, respectively, while the hand and the pentagram come from the journals and Gideon's tent of telepathy. For a while, people thought that the glasses might also represent Stan, but we know now that they're from his twin brother Stanford. This leaves only the bag of ice and llama unaccounted for. Some people think that the llama also represents Mabel, which would be weird since no other character shows up twice on the wheel. Others have argued that it must be Pacifica, since the llama is facing opposite Mabel's sweater and the 2 characters mirror each other in a lot of ways. This was lent a lot of credence in Northwest Mansion Mystery, where it was shown that the Northwests have a painting of llamas hidden in their back room. With 2 episodes left to go, I feel like that's a safe assumption. The ice, then, is the only mystery remaining. Most fans think it represents Wendy, since many of her appearances involve ice and cold things, but that's hardly definitive. Another contingent holds that it must be Blendin Blandin, since Dipper first met him while looking for ice, but that's not really any better. Whether it makes more sense as Wendy or Blendin depends on the meaning of the wheel itself. If all these people are needed to seal Bill back away, it could be either one, since both have played a prominent role in Weirdmageddon so far. If the wheel shows people responsible for unleashing Bill, on the other hand, then Blendin is more directly at fault than anyone else and a very likely candidate. Either way, I'm willing to bet that all of these characters will play a prominent role in the series finale. Speaking of that finale, I cannot wait to see what it has in store for us. When this last hiatus finally ends, I'm going to do something a little special and review it, as well as give my take on the Weirdmageddon variant opening. If you want to catch that when it happens, be sure to click subscribe. And since you guys seem to like crazy conspiracies, you might enjoy watching me and a bunch of my friends plow through the entire Metal Gear Solid franchise from today until Friday the 18th at MetalGearMarathon.com. All proceeds go to Child's Play, so please come out, support a good cause, and have a good time doing it. If you enjoy this kind of intro analysis, there's plenty of great anime breakdowns on my channel. Next episode, we'll be returning to our regular anime programming with the 2nd season of Spice and Wolf. I also do game reviews, by the way, and next week I'll be covering another supernatural mystery set in Oregon with my review of Life is Strange, so keep an eye out for that. As always, this is Jeff Thu, professional shitbag, signing out from my mother's basement.